The ocean was his office, a vast expanse where he spent countless hours, days, and years. It was a place of both beauty and danger, a realm he had come to respect deeply. José Alvarenga, a seasoned fisherman, knew its rhythms like the back of his hand. He had faced many challenges at sea, but he always returned home with stories of triumph and survival. He set out from the coast of Mexico in late 2012, a time when the waters were usually calm and the fishing was good. The sun was shining, and the horizon seemed endless, full of promise. His companion for this routine fishing trip was Ezequiel Cordoba, a young and eager fisherman. Together they prepared their boat, checking their nets and supplies ready for what they thought would be a typical journey. They planned to be back in a couple of days, their boat laden with their catch. The sea was generous and they were confident in their skills and experience. But the ocean had other plans. As they ventured further from the shore, the weather began to change. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, and the wind picked up, howling through the rigging. A monstrous storm, the likes of which Alvarenga had never encountered, engulfed their small boat. The waves grew taller and more violent, crashing over the sides and threatening to capsize them. Waves crashed over them, tearing away their supplies and crippling their engine. The storm raged on, relentless and unforgiving, leaving them helpless and adrift. They were adrift, at the mercy of the vast and unforgiving Pacific Ocean. With no engine and no way to navigate, they were carried by the currents, further and further from land. The days turned into weeks. The sun rose and set, the stars came out at night, but there was no sign of rescue. They were alone, surrounded by nothing but water. The familiar comfort of the Mexican coast became a distant memory. The vastness of the ocean was overwhelming, and the reality of their situation began to sink in. Fear gnawed at their hope. They rationed their food and water, but supplies were dwindling. The uncertainty of their fate weighed heavily on their minds. They were lost, their fate uncertain. The vast ocean seemed to stretch on forever, with no end in sight. Every day was a struggle for survival. Alvarenga, drawing on his years of experience, knew they were in a fight for their lives. They had to adapt. They used makeshift tools to catch fish and collect rainwater, doing whatever it took to stay alive. They had to become one with the sea or perish beneath its waves. It was a test of endurance, willpower, and the human spirit. Their survival depended on their ability to work together and never give up hope. The relentless sun beat down, its rays unyielding and merciless. The heat was oppressive, sapping their energy and willpower. Every passing hour felt like an eternity under the blazing sun. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, a constant reminder of their dire situation. Thirst parched their throats, making every breath a struggle. Their bodies cried out for sustenance, but the vast ocean offered little comfort. Land was nowhere in sight, just an endless expanse of water stretching to the horizon. The isolation was overwhelming, and the vastness of the ocean made them feel insignificant and lost. Alvarenga knew they couldn't afford to give in to despair. He steeled himself against the creeping hopelessness, drawing on every ounce of his inner strength. He was determined to survive, no matter the odds. He taught Cordoba the art of survival at sea, sharing his hard-earned knowledge. They learned to read the waves, to understand the subtle signs of the ocean, and to use every resource at their disposal. They caught fish with their bare hands, their nails becoming makeshift hooks. It was a skill born of necessity, a testament to their adaptability and will to live. Each catch was a small victory in their fight for survival. They devoured them raw, the taste of the ocean heavy on their tongues. The raw fish provided essential nutrients, keeping their bodies going even as their spirits wavered. Rainwater became their lifeline, precious drops collected in whatever containers they could salvage from the wreckage of their boat. Each drop was a gift, a momentary reprieve from the relentless thirst. They ate birds, their raw flesh providing a meager source of sustenance. It was a harsh reality, but one they had to accept to stay alive. The taste was far from pleasant, but it was a necessity. Alvarenga, hardened by years at sea, adapted quickly to their dire circumstances. His experience was invaluable, guiding them through the toughest moments. He was a beacon of resilience and hope. He knew that each sunrise could be their last, and he clung to life with a ferocity born of desperation. Every new day was a chance, a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak existence. The fight for survival was relentless, but so was their will to live. Tragedy struck. Cordoba, younger and less accustomed to the harsh realities of the sea, grew weaker. He refused to eat the raw fish, his body racked with nausea. Alvarenga, desperate to save his companion, tried everything he could. He pleaded with Cordoba to eat, to find the will to live, but it was no use. Cordoba died, his lifeless eyes staring into the endless expanse of the ocean. Alvarenga was now truly alone. He kept Cordoba's body for 6 days, unable to part with his friend, whispering stories to a soul who could no longer hear. Finally, he had to let go. He consigned Cordoba's body to the deep, the ocean his final resting place. The days blurred into an endless cycle of sun, sea, and gnawing hunger. Isolation began to take its toll on Alvarenga's mind. He saw things, ships on the horizon that vanished upon closer inspection. He heard voices, whispers carried on the wind. Were they real, or figments of his imagination? He couldn't be sure. One day, a speck on the horizon, a shipping container, bobbing gently on the waves. Could this be his salvation? He gathered the last of his strength and paddled towards it, his heart pounding in his chest. He signaled, waving his arms frantically, hoping against hope that someone, anyone, would see him. But the container drifted past, leaving Alvarenga stranded once more in his watery prison. Just when his hope began to dwindle, a miracle occurred. Land. An island, small and insignificant on any map, but to Alvarenga, it was a beacon of salvation. He had been adrift for 438 days. He stumbled ashore, his legs barely able to hold his emaciated frame. He had survived. He was found by a local couple, their eyes wide with disbelief at the sight of this castaway, this ghost who had emerged from the sea. He was weak, barely able to speak, but alive. He was taken to a hospital, his body ravaged by the ordeal, but his spirit unbroken. He had stared death in the face, and he had emerged victorious. News of Alvarenga's incredible survival spread like wildfire. He became a global sensation, his story a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. But amidst the celebrations, a dark cloud gathered. The family of Ezequiel Cordoba, seeking answers and perhaps something more, filed a lawsuit against Alvarenga. They accused him of cannibalism, of devouring their son to survive. Alvarenga was shocked and appalled by the accusations. He vehemently denied them, maintaining that he had honored his friend's memory until the very end. The lawsuit cast a long shadow over his miraculous survival, raising questions about the true cost of his ordeal. Amidst the controversy and legal battles, Alvarenga decided to share his story with the world. He signed a book deal, hoping to set the record straight and to inspire others with his tale of survival against impossible odds. The book, titled 438 Days, detailed his harrowing journey, his struggles, and his will to live. However, the book was not the commercial success that he had hoped for. Sales were dismal, with many speculating that the public was more interested in the salacious details of the lawsuit than in Alvarenga's account of his ordeal. Despite his insistence that he was telling the truth, doubts lingered. Some experts questioned the plausibility of his story. Could a man really survive for 438 days adrift at sea? The lawsuit filed by Cordoba's family only fueled the skepticism, leading some to believe that Alvarenga was hiding a dark secret. The truth, lost somewhere in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, remained elusive. Alvarenga's story, once a beacon of hope and resilience, became mired in controversy, leaving the world to ponder the fine line between survival and desperation. Despite the accusations, the lawsuit, and the public scrutiny, José Salvador Alvarenga had to find a way to move on with his life. The journey to reclaim a sense of normalcy was fraught with challenges. Each step he took along the shoreline was a step towards healing, but also a reminder of the tumultuous waves that had once threatened to consume him. He returned to his native El Salvador, seeking solace and anonymity in the place where his journey had begun. The familiar sights and sounds of his homeland provided a comforting backdrop as he tried to piece together the fragments of his shattered life. He still carried the scars of his ordeal, both physical and emotional. The deep lines etched into his hands were a testament to the battles he had fought, while the distant look in his eyes spoke of the memories that haunted him. The ocean, once his livelihood, now held a different kind of significance. It was no longer just a source of sustenance, but a vast, unpredictable force that had both given and taken away so much. It was a reminder of his resilience, his will to live, but also of the tragedy he had endured. As he stared at the horizon during sunset, he saw not just the end of a day, but the promise of a new beginning. The lawsuit was eventually dropped, but the cloud of suspicion never fully dissipated. The courtroom battles had left their mark, casting a long shadow over his attempts to rebuild his life. José Alvarenga, the man who survived 438 days adrift at sea, remained an enigma. His story was one of incredible endurance, but also of profound isolation. As he looked through old photographs, he was reminded of the life he once had and the person he had become. His story is a cautionary tale about the price of survival and the enduring power of the human spirit. Walking along a deserted beach, he carried with him the weight of his experiences but also a determination to move forward, to find meaning in the life he had fought so hard to reclaim.